I wanted to go over some key aspects to marketing that you might not have heard of. So let's talk about email lists and email marketing. It might sound so old and so outdated, but it is amazing marketing technique. And honestly, it's used by some of the biggest businesses out there. Now, an email list is basically a list filled with people who are now considered warm leads. So a cold lead is someone who doesn't know anything about your business, might stumble across your business as, they saw an advertisement or you popped up on a Google search. When they get to your website and your website hopefully reels them in and they're like, oh wow, this is kind of exactly what I'm looking for, but I never really heard of them. So they subscribe to your email list. Now they're warm leads. Now they're interested in your company, and what you have to do is prove to them that you can provide some sort of value, that your product and service can solve the problem that caused them to even, Google search whatever those keywords were, custom apparel, whatever it was. Now, this technique of building an email list is really coined and... No. Now, there are tons of marketing experts out there who have established ways to build up an email list. And I'm talking some of the best marketing experts out there all have a way to build an email list. So that has to tell you something. That has to show you that an email list is something that is valuable and something that you should consider right off the bat. And I'll give you an example of my email list. When I became a business advisor, I was a private business advisor. I only worked with people who were making 7 and 8 figures. Their businesses were already generating revenue, and I came in to help them make more money. Now, when I became a startup small business advisor, I had to establish who I was with people who didn't know me. Yeah, sure, these 7 and 8 figure businesses knew who I was, but not the people starting out. So I had to prove my value. So anybody who subscribed to my email list got a wealth of business information about how to start their business. Now they're interested and they're like, I want to learn more. And maybe some of you are in this small business academy, or maybe some of those warm leads signed up for a mini course, or maybe they hired me personally to be their business advisor. But the only way they got there in this aspect was because I showed them my knowledge and my value and the value that I could bring to them. Now, there's also something called a sales funnel, and that term was really coined by Russell Brunson, who established something called ClickFunnels, or a sales funnel, which turns those cold leads at the top of the funnel into warm leads and email subscribers, so that middle section, that squeeze, so there's a squeeze page a part of this, and then turns them eventually into paying customers or hot leads. And this funnel is directly proportionate to the average market value or the average market estimate of how many people who click on your ads will become paying customers. And usually that's around 10%. But the better your advertising is and the better you are at bringing these cold leads and turning them into warm leads will increase the output. So 10% of 100 is, 10, or you can do 10% of 10,000, which is 1,000. So that volume, that scale is really what you're looking for. And obviously there are higher conversion rates, but it really depends on your sales and marketing strategy. Now, Russell Brunson also mentions that anything that he sells, any product that he sells, the value is 10 times more. So if he's selling a class, the class is $1,000, the value of that class is actually $10,000. And honestly, that's how I value this course. Right now it's for one price, $250, but based on the amount of time, effort, and expertise that I put into this, it's actually around $30,000. So I marked it down substantially, but that's because it is the value that I'm trying to bring. I stepped it up a notch, I guess you could say. Now, the other types of marketing that I discuss in the text is going to be, paid advertising, and I highly recommend paid advertising. There's a very high conversion rate between paid advertising and people who actually buy your product, but you need to incorporate the cost of the ads into the price of your product. And usually the recommendation is, for every paying customer, you should only average about $3 or $4 on that particular sale. So if you need to pay, if you need to spend $10 per paying customer, then you're spending too much. And I'll kind of break that down a little bit more. Let's say you spent $100 in advertising, but you only got 10 customers. That means if you do the $100 in advertising divided by the 10 customers, that means it cost you $10 to get each one of those people to buy your product. That's a little too high. For $100 in advertising, you want to see around 30 customers. So keep that in mind. You want to keep, now that's a very low point, but that's where you want to keep it. I would go between 30 and 60. If you go a little bit higher, that's okay, but you're kind of erring on the side of caution there when you keep it lower. And the last thing I wanted to discuss is your website. Your website and the metadata associated to your website and search engines or search engine optimization is going to be key. You don't have to pay for that. You don't have to pay to optimize your search engine. Now, I teach this in a marketing class about what exactly search engine optimization is and how you can increase your placement on a Google search, for example. So if someone Googles, custom apparel, where your business lands, is it on page 10, is it on page 2, or are you on page 1 without paid advertising? In order to optimize that, in order to move your business up on the list and put yourself, again, in front of that customer, you need to really keep up with your SEO. I won't get too much into that, but just know that your website is another major piece of your marketing strategy.